1969, I went to Miami to see Muhammad Ali. This was at a very critical point in his life, of course, because he just refused the draft. He said, I've got no quarrel with them Viet Cong, and he wouldn't fight. And, of course, he was in deep strife in America. And he was very unpopular there with a lot of people. Therefore, he was very keen, I think, to be interviewed by an English television crew, because we had no criticism here. It began almost a lifelong love affair with the British press and British television. Very popular over here, never criticised, and he's never forgotten that.
England's one heavyweight champion of the world. You tell all those people in England that after Joe Frazier and James Ellis have a showdown, I'm going to retire the winner.
Now, I want to trace back to where a bomb went under your boxing career, because suddenly it all went wrong. Presumably, this was the Vietnam question and the Army draft. You are called up for the Army. You take 2 tests, and you fail them. And then suddenly the matter goes to the Pentagon, because you are you were then Cassius Clay, you were Muhammad Ali, but you were a famous figure, and suddenly, you, the man who'd failed 2 tests, were passed A1. Is that true? Is that how it happened?
Well, yes, they said I was mentally deficient or something because I didn't pass my tests twice.
Yeah, tell me about those tests.
One test was in Miami. Oh, tests like if you had 15 apples and you sold 2 1/4 of these apples and 3/3 of these apples was destroyed, how many do you have left? I don't know the answer. I barely got through school. I'm not really a good reader nor a good speller. You have a time limit on all the tests. And most of them I just guessed because I was too embarrassed to say I couldn't read the test that quick.
Yes.
So they had psychiatrists, 2 psychiatrists came from Washington, D.C., took me to Kentucky, and they examined me to see if I was joking. And they found that the same test the last one corresponded with the first one. So then, this is still when I was Cassius Clay and a Christian. But after the Islamic, the Muslim faith was pronounced that I had joined, and the name Muhammad Ali, then all of a sudden I became wise. Then they lowered the standard that anybody who made at least 18 on their test, which was awful low, must go to the Army. Well, this got me, see.
Yeah. Now, did they do this because of you, do you think?
Well, I really don't know. It's hard to believe that such a powerful government in a country like America will change your whole system just to get one black man in service.
You'd only have to say one thing in this country, and you could be back in boxing tomorrow.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't think I'd have to say that. Many reasons could probably get me back. Number one, first, my case would have to be throughout, draft case. If they don't do that, I'll probably have to do 4 or 5 years in prison. And then if I come out then, if I'm in shape, then I can consider it. But as of now, money means nothing to me, nor boxing when it comes to the freedom of your people. So everything I'm doing, if it means hitchhike tomorrow, if it means be raggedy, if it means look for a job, I'll be happy because I can go to bed, my conscience is clear, and I didn't sell out or trade my people just because I could be rich in Hollywood with a yacht out here on that could be my yacht right there. Imagine it's valued at $200,000, but I wouldn't want that damn yacht if I couldn't go back over in the black neighborhood and protest a black woman being raped. The hell with the yacht, the hell with the championship. So I want the people to know this, you understand? The Muslims did not find me. Elijah Muhammad, God don't need me, I need him. I couldn't talk to you a few years ago when I was in England the first time on these subjects because I wasn't not a Muslim. I didn't have the wisdom that I have now. So if you noticed, when you talk to me, when they do interviews with me, they're not the interviews that you do with boxers. Boxers usually don't talk. And all they can tell you is he ran 5 miles yesterday, or got good left jab, I'm not that type of Negro. Black man, you understand?
Yes.
See, the questions they asked me on interviews and in colleges is the same thing or more complicated than you would ask the Queen of England or President Nixon or some senator politician. So I would say that I'm awful happy because what I'm doing now I feel to be much greater than boxing.
I think in 1969, Ali would have been 27 years of age, and he just converted to the Muslim faith. And I think that was really the revulsion against the reception he got. When he came back after winning the Olympic medal, he was coming back to his hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. Well, now that's redneck country. And I think he was expecting more respect from the people than he got. You know, that was in the time when no niggers. I mean, that was the wording on restaurants. And he'd go somewhere and people would say, "Come here, boy." And I think that's what really turned him in his religious faith.
You found the black Muslims.
Well, naturally, I went to a Muslim meeting here in 1960.
And that's how it started.
And I heard the truth. I heard the real truth that Christianity don't teach. I saw people not smoking, thousands of them. I saw them not drinking, not committing adultery, not fornicating, praying 5 times a day, bathing twice a day, in unity, putting up their own schools, their own factories, their own radio shows, their own newspapers. One man, Elijah Muhammad, runs his own nation here in America, converts black people, cleans up sissies, prostitutes, homosexuals, make men and women out of them. The right Christian scientists admitted, the prisons, the FBI. Muslims under the leadership of Elijah Muhammad are the most cleanest, the most unified, the most respected black people in America, and everything that black people are doing today, black and I'm proud, black culture, black history, black schools, all of this come from Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm X, Eldridge Cleaver, Huey Newton, Rap Brown, all the so-called militant heroes today used to be followers of his until they got violent and broke loose. But everything in America today of black, of progress, come from Elijah Muhammad. And when I heard it, I had to accept it because it was the truth.
I'm your blood and your flesh. White people are not your brother. They are not your blood and your flesh.
Whatever Clay says, it's never been quite established how he did become mixed up with the black Muslims. His claim to have taken the initiative and joined them is certainly disputed. But whatever the route, he has a convert's fanaticism. Though he's under a cloud with their leader, Elijah Muhammad, his loyalty remains unswerving. He doesn't even question the inconsistency that the black Muslims, who claim to be anti-boxing, gave Clay special dispensation when it became obvious that he was to become their most famous frontman. This frontman image is what now makes Clay public enemy #1 among white Americans, for they recognize his hypnotic powers among his people.
I'm mostly concentrate on my people because after I'm finished with white America as far as sports and entertaining them, beating up a black brother of mine or something, I'll have to come back to the black ghetto. I'll have to come back to black people. All black people, I don't care how big they get, and all the entertainers in America, all the athletes, when they're down and no more wanted to entertain the power structure, the master, the millionaires, then they have to come back anyway with their own. So I'm mostly concerned with what my people think about me. See, the whites have never respected us. They've always mistreated us, assassinated us. They've always deprived us of freedom, justice, equality, lynched and burned us. So really, they can't hate me or dislike me no more. All I want is the following of my world, the black world, which numbers some 650 million. And this is what I have now. My stand for my religious belief, my stand for my people, speaking up for my people, all of them are with me, and that's all I want.
Can I come back to your association with the black Muslims? Have you paid them a lot of money?
Well, this is another propaganda thing. It's a good question that people here in America has tried to paint the image where I was being used by the Islamic religion just for prestige and for money. I'd like to say that after all of my fights, white America, as I said earlier, took 90% first, which left me 10%. I divorced my first wife. Cost me about $200,000 in alimony. The judge, he was against me too. I was married 11 months, no children, and I have to pay a woman $1,200 a month for 10 years. This is another thing directed just at me. The government fight has cost nearly some $200,000. All of this had to be done out of 10%. Plus my living expenses, my mother, my father, my brother, my wife, my children. Baby, I mean. So I would say I have not paid Elijah Muhammad or the Muslims nothing. I owe Elijah Muhammad $100,000. I owe him $100,000. So, no, sir, Elijah Muhammad is running his own schools, his own universities. He's got some 900,000 followers that have to eat daily. I can't feed them. He's got 900,000 followers that drive nice cars. I can't buy them. He's got 900,000 followers that live in nice homes. I can't pay for them. You understand? So this is real silly to say that I take care of the Muslims like the press used to say. The Muslim broke me. No, it was the white government of America. They took 90% first and everything they could after that in some way or the other. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad haven't done nothing but helped me, and I cannot give him a quarter. I owe him everything and the Muslim faith. They don't owe me a thing. I owe them.
It's been written here by a columnist, though. He actually used these words, that the black Muslims now are getting a lot of mileage out of you, but when that mileage is through, they'll drop you like a hot potato. Does that strike you as
What do they
being possible?
mean, getting a lot of mileage out of me? All of my mileage, I got all of my mileage out of them. The talk, the arrogance, I mean, the fearlessness, the stand that I've taken for my religion, the world respect I've got now that I'm a Muslim with the name Muhammad Ali. I'm now recognized all throughout the Islamic world. Money can't buy this brotherhood and world love. I have some 800,000 brothers in America who love me. They'll die for me and I'll die for them.
But
So I don't know what they mean by I've gotten mileage out of this.
Muhammad Clay is certainly plastic explosive for unscrupulous hands. His naivety, combined with a congenital hatred of being out of the limelight for more than 5 seconds flat, has always been apparent. The point is he more serious now than in the old days? For as he looks back, he admits that he was kidding us all.
Well, this was only campaigning. Before the first Liston fight, I wasn't a champion. And you had a lot of top contenders who were ranked over me at the time I fought Liston. And so I found out that promoters like money. Promoters look for the best 2 people that's going to draw the crowd. I met a famous wrestler in America who's deceased now named Gorgeous George. And he was bragging about how pretty he was, how beautiful he was, how great he was. I'll annihilate the bomb, I'll kill him, I cannot be defeated. And he was bragging so until I had to go see him. And many thousands of people was there, mainly hoping he would be whooped, just to see if this man could really back up all this talk. So right away I start talking. I am the greatest. If he talks jive, he'll fall in fight. I'm the real king of the world. I'm too beautiful to be a fighter. This made many people angry because black people in America as a rule are humble. They don't talk like that. And I heard it ringside when I fought Sonny Liston. Knock that nigger out. That nigger needs a good whooping. He talks too damn much. Put your fist in his mouth. Well, I didn't care what he said because he paid $250 for the seat. And I went to the bank laughing, you understand?
What you're saying is the whole thing was a publicity gimmick.
Right. This was a gimmick. This was only to campaign like President Nixon. He went all over the country seeking to give you an autograph. He flew airplanes. He rode trains. He went out of his way to pick up little children. But after he got in office, things changed. Now you cannot see Nixon walking down the street. Now you need an appointment and a necktie to go talk to Nixon. I start to say Liston, but Nixon. So now that I'm in office, I would say, now that I'm an established champion, ranked as the fastest in all history, best by many, I would say that I have no need now to say I'm the greatest or I can whip him, because the people know that I'm a good fighter. So this was only, I would say, campaigning.
The one place where Clay's still certain of an adulatory reception is in downtown Black, Miami. He drives to one of the chain of hamburger palaces he's building across America. It's in these that his money's tied up.
Well, I think at that time, Ali had to find some money from somewhere. He was put out of boxing, so he had to do something. And I think he made a rather facile attempt to go into business. Well, he could only do that, of course, with an agent or with businessmen around him. I think he's about as good a businessman as I am, which is hopeless. And all through his life, money just slid through his hands because when it wasn't being ripped off him by promoters or the black Muslims, he was so generous. He just gave money away.
So what is exactly your position with this company? Are you just a figurehead?
I would say I'm the biggest stockholder in the whole company. I own half of the company.
Does this make
I have other advisors and helpers working along with me. But I would say that this is a lifetime thing with me from now.
Could you put a cash value on your holdings in the company?
Well, it'll be kind of rough to say right now because stock grows and falls. But I would say if I had to cash it all in there, about $3 million.
You could actually cash in
$3 million,
and produce 3 done.
Easy, yeah. So they took the title, I just got something better.
The first impressions that I got during those 3 or 4 days with Ali remain lasting impressions. And it was of a goodness in this man, This man was not educated in a huge way. I mean, he found very great difficulty in reading and writing, and yet he had this marvelous articulacy of language, and he had this tremendous warmth and friendliness.
James Ellis, are you in this gymnasium? Well, I want you to stay in good shape. Do you think you'll get by Henry Cooper? You know you will. Henry Cooper's got a hard left hook. He's got a hard left hook. I tripped over a left hook once in England. Yeah, all you have to do is keep him tripping, but old Henry's been out a long time. He's pretty good. Henry's not as dumb as he looked. Watch him. You know, Henry Cooper's got his spies over here. All these Englishman chaps are coming over here pretending they want pictures of me working with you, and they take these films back to England, and they get a secret meeting with old Henry, and they have a secret meeting. Pictures won't help old Henry. Pictures won't help Henry. Won't help old Henry. Well, he don't necessarily have to be called old Henry. That's a candy bar. I know. But they take these films back to England, and they spy on them, and they cut them in slow motion. That's the way they did me. And they showed Henry how easy I was to hit with a left hook. I'm not going to tell him no weaknesses. Way back in a little one-horse town called Louisville, Kentucky, back in 1941, Mr. Cassius Clay married Mrs. Odessa Grady, who later became Mrs. Cassius Clay, and they had a little son. It all started 25 years past, and one of the best fighters was born at last. And I want the people there in England to meet my mother and father, Mr. and Mrs. Cassius Clay. Come on over, Mom and Daddy, and meet my English fans here. This is Mrs. Clay, and this is my daddy, Mr. Cassius Clay Sr. And they're down here in Miami vacationing with me, and they just want to say hello to all of the people over there in England.
Hello. Hello.
They're very proud of him, mate.
Thank you.
He told the world when I was 12 years old that I was going to be the champion.
That day I told him when I was 12 years old. His first bout was, so felt like he's well experienced, like he was Joe Louis. I said, yes, I got little Joe Louis here. He's a champ.
Even then, of course, he was a hugely charismatic figure, to much of the disapproval of many people, but he did have this magnetism. Whenever he went, people gathered round him. He would entertain people. He was particularly good with kids. He always made anyone who met him, he sort of made you feel that you were his friend.
This, of course, I mean, we've seen here demonstrated your particular hold on these people because of your fame, because of your name, because of everything. You have a tremendous hold on these people. We've seen it here. Does this strike you as being a great responsibility?
Well, I would say yes. I have a great responsibility to do all I can as an image to lead them into doing the right things. I would say I'm not a leader, but all I can do is do the best I can, hoping that they will follow after me. Like an example, I think that the smoking that they are trying to do at a young age. I just encourage this, and the drinking and the mistreatment of women, and the stealing and gang wars and fighting and killing one another, which is going on throughout the United States. And as long as I can obey the laws of the land, as long as it don't conflict with my religious beliefs, and live as clean as I can, hoping that some of them will be impressed by it and see the success that I have and try to follow me in that way.
I think despite the seriousness of the situation he found himself in over this draft business, despite that, I think he always had the self-confidence that at some stage he could get back into sport. Boxing was the only thing he could do with great proficiency. And I don't think he ever thought, my career's over. He always had that optimism that he would get back. But I must say it was very difficult in 1969 to see how he was going to do it.
This universe is big enough for 3 champions, but the world is not big enough for 3 champions. 2 of us must leave, and it's not going to be me. Joe Frazier, James Ellis, they got to have a showdown. And after I go to jail, if I go to jail, I'm going to stay in training. And when I come out, they got to whoop me.
In 1969, Ali was already a big figure, a controversial figure. And he was always going to be controversial. But if you really wanted to put yourself 20 years ahead, I could never imagine that he would become the figure that he did. According to Time magazine, the best-known man in the world. And although he had this tremendous presence, you thought you couldn't believe that he would ever get to that state. But there you are, and he did it by coming back into boxing, and also, of course, by projecting himself as a great humanitarian, which he genuinely was.
You are happy to have thrown away perhaps the greatest sports career since the war.
I haven't thrown it away. I haven't lost it. I would say I turned it down. I'm not... See, the greatest sports title mean nothing, mister, if you cannot be free. See, yeah. Boys in Vietnam are throwing away, you may say, their lives. I haven't did that much. I'm still living. They are dying today to free somebody they don't know. So what in the hell is a heavyweight title and a few stinky dollar bills for my people's freedom?
The one thing that comes through now with him is the goodness in the man. He is a good, genuinely nice man.